My next guest are a band called Trepid, and they have only been a band for 10 months. They came to Athens just a little while ago, and they're finding out very quickly how musicians are welcomed here in Athens. They are part of a genre called shoegaze. I always want to say stargaze, but it's shoegaze. And it's because these artists are always looking down at their pedals to make effects or make sounds that they want to come out of a certain chord. So they're always looking down, looking at their pedals, and not really engaging in the actual audience. It's a very unique sound that's in this ocean of so many other bands that's coming out of Athens right now. It was so great to talk to them because it's a genre I hadn't really been exposed to very much. And we just had a wonderful time talking. Here is my conversation with Trepid. Trepid is May May Bryant on vocals, Turner Chastain, rhythm guitar, J. Ben Turk. We'll have to talk about that later. John Bellerjeau.
Correct.
Is that how I said it? Did I? Really?
Bellerjeau, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Ethan Houseman on drums. But John Bellerjeau is not here today.
Correct.
His loss, I might say. Well, I met you guys at the Rumpus Parade, I believe. You guys were playing like at the end of the street, and I was getting ready to walk to my car. I'm like, what's that playing? I don't know that band, or that sounds kind of cool. And I walk over and I'm listening. I don't even really know why I was drawn to you guys. It just sounded so different from what I was hearing that night. And there weren't that, I don't remember, but there weren't that many bands playing that night. You know, I was just drawn like a little magnet to your songs, and I started listening. And I'm watching her and I'm like, oh, wow. She's, hair up and down and, not screaming by any means, but loud. And I thought, that's kind of like me. I don't want to scream, but a lot of times I really want to be loud. And I don't know, that might have been the connection. But I did give you my card after you guys were done and said, I'm doing this podcast. And this wasn't last one. It was the one before.
Is it Nowhere?
No, at the Rumpus Parade.
Oh, this was last October, yeah.
So it was the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I think, was it last year or was it 2 years ago?
No, it was last year.
Yeah. I went ahead and did season 3 because I had already started booking it up, and I said, but I really want to have these guys on season 4. And I'm a little late on season 4, so that's why we're just getting into this. But you guys were newbies on the scene, and I guess, just was this one of your first appearances?
Yeah, our first show was August 31st, and that was
that was like 2 months later.
That was like the 26th or something, I think Rumpus was. So
Yes.
Halloween.
it was less than 2 months.
Wow.
So we had been a band for like 3 months at that point.
Now, do you guys live in Athens?
Yep.
Yep.
All 3, 4, all of you?
5,
Yeah,
all 5
yeah.
of us. Yes,
I'm doing 5, like, well, what the fuck, guys? I just gotta ask. I'm sorry. What the fuck? Where did this music come from? Where did you bring this from? I mean, I was listening to it, and I listened to your single, and really trying to, like, this is different than what I've heard in Athens.
Right.
So I'm gonna let you guys, tell me, and I'm gonna start with you, May May, because it's obvious that you are maybe the loudest as far as the band is concerned when playing.
Yeah.
He might be the loudest when we're talking.
Yeah,
We're going to give this one
absolutely.
to you. Tell me a little bit, how did you become you?
So I grew up in Morgan County. It's like 30 minutes south of here. And when I was little, I was homeschooled. And so I would come up to Athens when I wasn't doing school, and which was most of the time because I could choose when I could do that. And I would come and see like the punk shows and all of that. And I loved and envied, I think, their ability to project and to express themselves in that loud way. And my mom was an opera singer. when I was growing up.
Interesting.
And so she has this like so jealous of her. She's huge range. She's an amazing person. I love her very much, but she was definitely a big inspiration for me and definitely taught me how to project and express and do all those lovely things.
Does she ever say, "Oh, but she was such a good little girl"?
Oh no, I think she is so supportive. She has always been extremely supportive of like what I do, and I think both of my parents are really relaxed kind of people, and they still think I'm a good girl.
Oh, that's good.
So,
That's good. I love to
yeah.
hear that. Yeah. So tell me about yourself, Turner.
Well, my name's Turner, obviously. I grew up kind of all around. I was born in Anderson, South Carolina, and then when I came home from the hospital, we lived in Bowman, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived there until about 2004. Both my grandparents died of cancer about a month apart, so we moved there right in their like later part of their life for my mom to take care of them, and then I ended up there from kindergarten to 8th grade. And then I got back to Athens. Well, I say Athens. I went to Madison County High School.
Oh, okay.
So I went there. And then right at the end of that, my mom moved back to Anderson, and I met my wife when we were in the 9th grade. So
I thought I was early
we
in relationship.
right. We had already been together for 4 years, right, when my mom moved away. So I was like not moving back to South Carolina, you know. So I stayed here and as long as I could until I moved back to South Carolina for like 2 years. And then one of mine and Jay Ben's mutual friends named Blake, me and him got an apartment together in Athens. So that's how I made it back here. So I'm actually not from Athens at all.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but you're here now, and
Right.
you're definitely part of Athens right
Correct.
now, from what I can see.
Correct.
All right.
Here I am. Here I come. What's up? I'm Jay Ben. I grew up in Madison County, like 15 minutes away from here, like Turner said. And I also kind of ended up moving around a bit. Like I moved out to Oconee County, like not far away for like most of the last half of middle school. And then my dad's job actually took us down to Fairhope, Alabama, which is like
I know Fairhope.
Yeah, the very bottom west corner of Alabama, which is where I went to all of high school. And let's see, I think I took a year at UAB as like a business student. I probably
okay.
started taking guitar seriously sometime around then at 18, and then like I can't remember I think I just wasn't happy at UAB, and I was like, what if I moved to Athens? And I told my parents, yeah, and then I could go to UGA. And I moved here, and like I think it was one of the first few weeks I was here, my grandma was like, well, you didn't just move here to play music, did you? And I said, no, of course not. And then I took like 2 or 3 more classes and dropped out and started doing music. But that's also when I moved into an apartment with my longtime best friend Blake, and that's when I met Turner.
Nice. So you and Turner
So
kind of got this together?
yeah,
Me and Jay Ben and aforementioned Blake were in a band in, what was that, 2022, I think, 2021, 2022, called Slink. And it was me, Jay Ben, Blake, and our friend Kyle DiMartino. Blake and Kyle DiMartino are in another band in Athens now called Violent Violet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, so you were here doing music in 2022.
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I was actually in 2 bands. I used to be in a band that still plays called Commune,
Yeah.
and then we had our band Slink together. And
It's funny how it works like that
Yeah.
in Athens, isn't it?
right.
we actually broke up Slink. It was kind of our idea really to break up Slink, and we did that because I think we just kind of felt we needed to like reform, and I think me and Turner felt like we had like more of a unified vision together that like I think we knew that we could like really work together well, and it was a matter of just finding the other people to complement that. And then not long after that, I ended up leaving Commune, and that just kind of ended up freeing up our time to just full sail head into what ended up being Trepid, because I knew John I used to night proctor here at Tweed the semester he went to school here.
Oh.
And then Ethan, the only reason we even knew him is because we played a show with his band one time, and I just thought he was like a kick-ass drummer, and he is.
He
So it
is.
worked out.
He is a great drummer. He's in another
Yeah.
band in town
They're
called
not-
Swear Jar.
Yeah, they're not here right now, but like this band would not be what it is without John Bellerjeau and Ethan Houseman.
So even though you're relatively, How'd you find her?
That
How'd
I want
that
to take
happen?
that. I want
Yeah.
to take that one. So we had been, me, Jay, Ben, John, and Ethan had been practicing for about, I would say, three
April to like a little bit
July,
before the first show. in
July or
yeah.
August. So 3-4 months we had been practicing. And me and Jay Ben had written like the first 3-4 songs that we were practicing on. And whenever we had gotten enough that we were going to try to like put a show together, I made an Instagram for Trepid just to try to get the word out there, try to get some people, like follow some people that knew Slink and also knew, us from other bands and stuff too. And the day I made the Instagram, at this point, me and Jay Ben only know May May from, like seeing around like town and music, like
Shows.
music
Acquaintances,
shows,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Parties and stuff like that. And we were I would call us friends,
Yeah,
more than
hung
acquaintances
out
for
before.
Did
sure.
you know how she sung?
I had
Only recently.
only like one time maybe I had heard her
We
sing.
went to see the Feb show like a week or two before she hit us up.
Right. And I made the Instagram trying to get out there, and I got a text from May May that exact day. She was like, "Hey, I saw you guys started a band. Do you guys need a vocalist?" And I was like, "Yes,
Score.
we absolutely
yeah.
do."
She texted us and we were like, "Yeah, you got it."
It's kind of a miracle, like a lottery ticket blowing in the
Yeah.
window. Honestly,
We probably wouldn't be here if she hadn't joined.
very true.
Well, I think so.
I think so too.
You have an amazing voice.
Thank you.
And to be do you believe in fate?
I don't know what's going on, really.
Because I think that things like this happen for a reason. Not all not
Yeah.
every little thing.
Yeah.
But I do believe that things do bring attractions together.
Yeah.
That law of attraction thing, without getting into it too deeply or anything like the book or
Absolutely.
anything like
I
that.
think that there's like some things in my life that I can't explain away of just like, oh, that's happenstance, or that's just on a whim.
Coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I definitely would consider that, but I never claim to know what's going
Yeah, I always say, well,
happening.
fate may have just taken place.
Yeah.
When I think, because it is true that a lot of times you were at the right place at the right time. And I don't know what you call that,
Yeah.
because you guys sound so good together.
Thank you.
Really good.
We
And this new
appreciate that.
single of yours, we'll talk about that in a minute, but so good. Where'd you record that?
I'll take this one.
Yeah, sure.
Funny enough, we recorded it in John Bellerjeau's basement.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So me and John both went to school here, but I'm not going to try to take any of the credit. John definitely did like 90% of the work on that. I just was a helping hand. He excels in the world of recording, and he also mixed this single, and he did an amazing job of it. Like the fact that was recorded in like a basement with like a vent that's always running is like kind of crazy, because like it like sounds like, I mean, we recorded at Tweed here recently, and don't get me wrong, there's just like a marked difference, but it's just like crazy like that can sound better than like recordings I've had with bands in the past in real studios, because I think it has to do with what you said. Like we are just really synergist as like bandmates, and I think that really helps when you're recording things.
Yeah, because we just had John Keane on, and he talks about 4-track and reel to reel and
Oh, yeah.
and all
Would love
those
to do that.
things. And there's a lot of recording going on in people's basements. Trivy,
Yeah.
Rio Crane's basement,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they record in there,
Yeah.
and he's got, oh my gosh, so much equipment. I mean, it gets kind of hot in there actually
Mhm.
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
the equipment. But that's so cool that you have the ability to do that, and it's still come out to where you think, hey, we can release this.
Well, it's funny you say that. When we recorded that, which fun fact, the guitars and drums for all of that was recorded before May May was even in the band. There's a version of that exists somewhere with him singing over it.
I was
Really?
I was the
Yeah, the
proposed
intended.
vocalist for this band
Yeah.
before May May.
Well, you just got knocked out, didn't you?
Hey,
Well, it's
That's
one of those
okay.
things where it's like, I love you, Turner, but we had seen her play live a week or two before, and
Yeah.
that just was like, well, there's no competition there.
yeah.
But nobody's complaining, and I try to remember how we got to this. We kind of went on a little tangent there, but
We always do with me, so
Yeah.
don't worry. We'll do some more of those. But it was really about how you got to meet May May and, you know, bringing her into the band.
Very happenstance.
Just
Yeah, I mean, it just, I think, like you said,
solidified.
it just happened. Like, I mean, call it fate or whatever you want. Like,
Yeah,
it was just like the right pieces fell into place.
And I met John by happenstance.
I think you told us about that.
Yeah, the
at
other
a
night
show or
at
something.
Sine at Hank
Yeah.
Sullivan's, and he really, was saying, "Well, I just do the tech and all that kind of stuff." And
He'll try to minimize his role. He'll be like, I just play bass, as if that doesn't matter.
yeah, right. So when I was listening to your music, videos and on YouTube or whatever, and then the single, but I'm kind of proud of myself because I was, listening and I was like, this sounds so different. And it's like, it sounds like it's more the music dubbing over the lyrics than the lyrics dubbing over the music. And do I know what the fuck I'm talking about? And I wasn't quite sure at all. But because it sounded like that, I was like, I started researching like what you called yourself and what Evan had sent, a blip, I might say, but it had the words grunge and grunge gaze, and then I went on to shoegaze, which was a fascinating thing to read about for me because one, it really told me that I was right to a certain extent without being not techno or anything like that.
Right.
But also, how many records of these people did I sell in our record stores? And I never heard those terms.
Right.
Yeah.
Never.
Streaming has, I think, really done a number on the world of like genreification of music or whatever. It's like people our age have listened to like all kinds of bands because we have just had access to literally all music that's uploaded to streaming, which at this point is almost all of it.
Yeah.
And so it leads to just this weird, like, people ask us what our band is. I don't know, alt rock. It's like we say grunge and shoegaze, but like I've had someone tell us we sound like Muse, like, and I'm like, what?
Or
I don't
goth
know.
sometimes
Like,
even. Like I was saying, when I was thinking about, okay, well, a lot of the grunge gaze and shoegaze were also goth. And I'm like, all I could remember is my math with the Venn diagram and in the middle. And I'm like, goth, grunge, shoegaze is in the middle of the Venn diagram,
Right.
as far as I can tell. Because Dusty Gannon was on as well and talking about just how goth really became what it is today as well, and how it's a little hard to define
Right.
as well. It crosses over.
Yeah.
It's not just about wearing chains and leather boots,
No more
I mean-
Jinkos.
But so can your fans understand your lyrics? I really tried hard, I swear.
I think so. For
So-
sometimes. There's sometimes it's like it definitely depends on the system that we're playing. Like we'll be in a venue and it depends on the venue's system. I think for the most part, yes, I do like to send out lyrics to people who text me or message me and ask. And so it's really nice to kind of just like get that out there to them. And
Mm-hmm.
we've had people come to the show recently and they'll like sing along with the lyrics, and that has given me so much like joy. It's
yes.
I'm so thankful for it.
Yes. It's like, oh my God, they're singing to my song. Oh, yeah. Yeah, very good.
But I think it's more about like the overall emotion that you're feeling, because it's all of us together, and like the lyrics, they matter to me, they matter to everybody else, but at the same time, I think like what we're kind of curating is like that overall like feeling.
Like the music is telling the story first.
Yeah.
Am I out of whack a little bit there, or?
all of our songs pretty much, I feel like most of the time tend to be like a good way fleshed out before we really get into like heavy work on them as like a whole band, like, or at least the ones that have like really turned into, I think, our best songs. And usually May May hops in with lyrics after we've somewhat got like a semblance of like, maybe like a verse and a chorus to a song at least prepared, and then she usually just adds to that. So it's like kind of one of those things where I guess you kind of build a song in her head that doesn't need the lyrics first or whatever. Like, it's like there's something going on already, and then May May just finds a way to slot herself in there.
May May is a fantastic lyricist. She will sit outside and smoke a cigarette and write a song or a poem or a haiku or whatever she's feeling.
A
you know?
haiku even, huh?
Right.
No, I don't haiku.
Anything, right? She
No.
she writes very deep, very meaningful lyrics to her and to people I feel like who don't, like understand them as well first off. But I feel like a lot of the music comes from me and J Ben. We'll just like kind of riff on an idea, and then we get it to a point to where we can bring it to May May, and then May May's already got it. She's got it down.
So, did you start writing lyrics like at a young age? You start with poems, stories, what?
When I was little, I used to like obsessively journal every day of my life. And then when I got to, so I think I turned like 18, I burned all of those journals as like an act of rebellion in my driveway. And then
Wow.
it was just like, it's like this, like, it's the artists. You're like, oh, yes. I'm 18 and I'm going to burn all my work now, and start fresh and start new. And then
Do you regret that?
a little bit, but at the same time, that was like teenage angst.
Yeah.
I was like, I think my godmother would always tell me, you write a letter and you burn it in the driveway, okay? Sometimes you just got to do it, okay?
That is
So
amazing
helpful,
advice.
agree.
I call it my car talk.
Yeah.
When I get in the car,
absolutely.
say it there.
Yeah.
Don't be saying it anywhere
Yeah,
else.
Don't bring it anywhere
My
else.
twin and I
when
laugh
you-
about that all the time. Did you do car talk first?
Yeah. Did you think before you spoke? But I've journaled since a really like young child. I think I started when I was 15, and then I just couldn't help myself. And I don't journal every day anymore, but I do write as much as I can. So it's a practice for sure.
I'm so jealous of that. I can't even begin to tell you. I wish I was like that. I always wished I was a reader. I try to read and stuff, and I love reading when I get there, but it wasn't, something I did. I mean, half my family read, were voracious readers, and half weren't. And my twin and I, being the 9th and 10th, we kind of got left by the wayside of people even reading to us when we were little.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But so when I was looking up some of the bands that influence, or what they call, people say the 4 best grunge or shoegaze, blah, 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 I was coming up with basically the same bands as most of them, but one of them in particular was My Bloody Valentine. So is that a band that you guys kind of took some stuff from? Did you learn anything from it? Or did you say, we can do this a little better?
I don't think any.
First off, I don't think anyone can do it better than MBV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they've
that's what
got-
everyone says.
We're not going
they
for
do.
that same
Yeah,
exact thing
no.
anyway
No.
either. I don't know. Do you?
I would say, going back to the genre crisis that we're in now, I think that shoegaze, as like recently as social media has become like a umbrella term kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just like, what is something like broad that we can put on a hashtag that would kind of cover this, grunge, shoegaze. There are some bands that are kind of grungy, kind of like us, that are more shoegazy, like My Bloody Valentine.
There are also bands that are more grungy than
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say a big band that we, at least for me and J Ben, that we pull like our guitar style from would be Basement from the UK. I don't know if you've ever heard of Basement.
Yeah, well, I've
And-
in my research.
and
Yeah.
Narrowhead, too.
Oh yeah, Narrowhead for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing a shirt for like probably like one of the bigger influences
Oh,
we have. These are like
I can't read something head.
Narrowhead.
Narrowhead. There's like this thing. It's just I don't know. There's like I know I'm personally into all these bands, but I don't think you've ever really listened to a lot of like the classic shoegaze.
I've listened.
Thing, was it?
I've listened. Not really. I have listened to My Bloody Valentine. I've listened to a couple Slowdive songs. But
That was one. That was
Yeah,
the one
for sure.
Yeah.
also, and I listened to him, and I did see where you guys could pull some of the things that was leaning towards what you wanted to sound to, and I never meant to profess that you were trying to sound like anybody.
No,
else.
Oh,
no,
no, absolutely
And,
no,
I get what
bands,
you're doing.
Yeah.
It's one of like it's like we take like I know like for sure like when I'm playing guitar leads, I'm thinking of things like Slowdive's like very twinkly and like melodic, like kind of
Yeah.
sounding
They
parts.
were-
Whereas I think like Turner's guitar playing stems way more from like 90s like riff rock kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
like it's like way more of like a like intricate, I guess, more there. Whereas that was like supposed to be just like this wall of like noise and sound. Like I think we're going for something a little more with more clarity to it, you know?
Yeah, and I gotta say, to interject on a little bit as we're talking about, the noise and how what you're doing with the noise. It's not just noise for noise sake.
Right.
It's definitely using it as a tool into these layering and the melodies and the drums and the all the things that are you're trying to make an effect with on the pedals and all that kind of thing. But you have the softest voice speaking here
Yeah.
for what you sing. I finally have to say it because I'm sitting here thinking, holy crap. She has this gentle, lovely voice. And then you come out and and that's what makes your voice so special. That's what's clicking with me right now, is that you can change into this persona,
Yeah.
but you are bringing your soft side to that.
Yeah.
And it's making sense to me. But kudos on that part of it.
Thank you.
So you guys have also been kind of playing around with fundraisers and things like that, doing some community things and trying to immerse yourself into becoming, Athens proper. I've done the same thing in the last 11 years in a lot of different ways. Obviously, this podcast as well. So tell me about, some of the things that you would like to do, more charity work, or, how do you want to bring your band into the community?
I think we would always be open to doing charity work. I don't think it's anything we've necessarily like sought out per se. The two I'm thinking of right now is I know we did, was it for in Atlanta? Was it women or trans?
For reproductive
rights? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
rights.
We played that show. I believe we were invited by the guy putting it together, Jalen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Jalen. I'm not sure of his last name, but he is like an awesome event coordinator in Atlanta who I think a lot of times does like stuff that's all like very like politically or like, whatever oriented to like help raise funds. And so that's really awesome. And he's continued to come to our shows and support us. So I definitely want to continue to support him. I'm sorry, I can't get his last name, but I can find his Instagram for you later at the very least.
Okay.
And other than that, the only thing I think of is we played actually our friend Kyle that we mentioned that used to play in our band Slink. He's my roommate and also our friend, obviously. And he, I believe sometime late last year, got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And he's been a part of the music scene around here for a good minute. Like he's known people even longer than we've played in the scene.
I read about that.
And he's like the sweetest guy ever. And like almost as soon as that happened, I think you actually put together that, right?
Yeah, there was another group of people in town that did a lot of shows around, and I hit them up and I was like, hey, we were all friends of Kyle, and I was like, hey, what can we do, to like get this guy? I was like 50%, for like, let's raise some money for Kyle, and then 50% like, let's get some people out here and just do a huge like community show, which is what we ended up doing. We had like 8 or 9 bands played.
My wheels are turning a little bit in my head.
Right.
And
We
like
did sync that one up.
honorable mention, Kyle just beat stage.
Yeah, Kyle actually
Kyle
did.
is
He's
now
cancer free.
Yeah,
colon cancer.
Shout out
done
Kyle.
chemotherapy, radiation, and just got the tumor taken out. And he's
Amazing.
walking
So
around and
good.
practicing in his band.
He's
again.
hot as ever.
Yeah. Mining rocks and gemstones.
Yeah, that's
Oh
his
my
favorite.
gosh.
That's his
Yeah.
favorite pastime. He loves to go in the quarries.
Oh my gosh. My little granddaughter loves looking at rocks too and going and looking.
We
looking
have
them up and
about
stuff.
between like 3 and 8 billion in my apartment right now.
Oh. That's
Like
a lot.
3 singular and 8, but somewhere in between there.
Pick a number.
It's correct.
Oh my gosh. Didn't you do something with Nucci? Did you do something to
Uh,
help Nucci? Or maybe that was,
our drummer
just-
Ethan works for Nucci Space,
maybe that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
that's
Okay,
probably what you're thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah.
and
Which of course is a noble.
You did Athens Business Rocks one time.
I did Athens Business Rocks last year.
Oh,
I
see?
did, yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing all the good things to, be in a community. Now, I love being in an Athens community.
Right.
I love that we
Absolutely.
came here and could be in a community again. And I actually did health insurance for the last 11 years. I just retired from doing that, as a matter of fact.
Congratulations.
Because I really wanted to figure out how to help people in Athens. And I was very good at that for my own medical journey. And so that was probably the best job I ever had, actually. Plus, I worked for myself, and you can't beat that. So I was going to say that when I hear you about this community and stuff, my disease is called polycystic kidney disease, which I don't normally talk about on the podcast, but I have always wanted to do a fundraiser for it because it's hard to get a chapter together and people doing and working together and those type of things. And, I always wonder if I could do it now because of what I've been doing.
Right.
So we might have to just think about that.
Do it. Yeah.
We would love to be on the bill. If you have bands come out, we would love to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 So tell me about your new single.
Come back. You guys wrote it.
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
That's actually, I would say, I was trying not
'Cause
to
I
defame May May earlier, but me and Turner actually wrote that like entire song, like lyrics and all.
Yeah. That is one of the first songs
Yeah.
that we wrote as a band.
And I could understand the lyrics,
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
of them.
Good.
We did all right. I think we did good enough. There's actually a few songs that we play live currently and that we have recorded or are recording that were written by us. Like there's one that was written, I think pretty much entirely by me, and then a couple more collaborative ones. But it's now kind of been transitioning more as we've moved.
So do you declare this to be come back in what kind of style? Come back because I miss you? Come back because we need to...
Come back, like as in like I think it was supposed to be like I think like the lyric is set yourself up to come back, like
Right.
as in like you can, I guess, like get over like whatever's going on, like you can get over it,
Oh, sort of a little inspirational
Yeah.
thing. Hey, you can do anything.
and
This
the
too
song
shall
is
pass.
written like I think like I don't know if I want to use the word vague, but like written
It's kind
I
of
guess
vague. Vague's a good
vaguely
word.
enough that you can put whatever kind of spin you want on it, whether it's like a relationship or whatever. Like I definitely tend to write songs that like like I'm like the Paul McCartney guy. Like I write like love songs and shit. So like I don't know, but actually I say that, but then the other song I wrote is about like a dying rat. So
What happens when you guys start writing? Do you start with the lyrics or the music, or what do how do you guys work it out?
The first 3 songs I would say for this band that me and J-Ben wrote the music for, we wrote the music for first, and they had many stages. I would say at least probably 3-4 separate like stages, and then once we got something, I'd probably say probably like in the second or third rendition is when we started writing lyrics to it. Obviously, once we started playing with May May and John, and this is before John and Ethan even.
yeah,
This is
we had
just
lyrics written to some of these like before we were even in Trepid.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like this was like I mean the riff for Comeback was written when we were still in Slink, I think.
Yeah, I think that was like a practice. It was
There, I mean,
one
there's
day of
several songs in
practice.
this band that were probably would have been
Yeah.
songs for that band had like we decided to continue with it.
Correct.
well, so that's pretty cool. You guys have been intertwined for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've been with them, what, 2 years?
No,
No, we haven't even been a band a full year.
We've been a band for 10 months.
I think around July is
Yeah.
when May May came
Is it really
to the
that?
first
What
practice.
is wrong with my time? I
No, it's
swear.
okay.
No, it's okay.
But
I
I
get
think
it.
we've known of each other, and
Yeah.
I've known
At
John,
least 2
and I've
years.
known
Yeah.
Ethan.
And you played the Rumpus Parade thing.
Yeah.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know how we got on that. I don't remember if we got. Did we get invited? I
Our
assume we got invited.
friend John Harper, jig bass, invited us to play
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Were you terrified that you didn't know how it was going to work out?
You just gotta send it. You
We-
just gotta
we-
do
You
it.
did like
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
show where you didn't know the lyrics. It was like the first show was the only one I think you had to like read anything for, and then by the
Yeah.
next one you knew them.
And I had like it's a lyric cue sheet. It's like if I don't know a song or a word, sometimes like especially like in the first 2 shows that we played, I just have my phone open on the stage. And if I was really worried, I'd look down. But I tend to be a really good memorizer, especially when it comes to music and lyrics. I can just put it in my head.
I've always been amazed by people who can remember lyrics. I mean, I try all the time. I write some songs myself,
Yeah.
and I can't remember my own songs. Okay,
Right.
so I mean, but I mean, I don't know why I write them. Sometimes they just come through me, and I just write them. I wrote a song about my twin, and I wrote a song called "My Daddy Bought Me a Race Car," which he did in high school, and
That's
it's
cool.
like a cherry bombs car. He's like, so you had to write about that, that kind of stuff, and a little bit about my family and things like that come. And sometimes even my granddaughter will say something, and she said one day, "I don't want to use my words."
Yeah.
Well, that sounded like a song to me.
Profound. Absolutely.
So, how do you guys feel about Athens and some of the music that's happening here alongside you?
So good. So
Right?
good about it. It's
Okay.
phenomenal to see like all walks of life, all ages to come and participate in this community that we have of like you're safe, you're welcome. And there's a lot of just older individuals within the scene just grandfathering in these kids and like showing them, oh, this is how you get a bill and this is how you book a tour. And that's a phenomenal thing. I don't think I say a lot, and maybe there's not many places like Athens where you come in and you just say you're a musician and you're immediately open and like welcomed with like just great big open arms from
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
says that. I mean, at first, people didn't know who I was at all. I mean, I'm just this person who came walking into Athens one day. And in the first 5 years, I wasn't really immersed in the music scene at all.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to do something back in the music, and this podcast came into my head, and never really thought I would do it. But then here I am. But people have been welcoming to me as well, and now musicians are actually, hey, I'd like to be on.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not just whether there's 10 listeners or a million. It's about that you would like to have something down in a recording or something that you can keep to remember how you were at this point in your lives and what was happening for you. So I think that's a really cool, that's documentation and history is, a pretty remarkable thing to do. And unfortunately, I live with this historian, crazy
Well, I mean,
historian, and he makes,
Yeah.
me want to be a better historian.
history started when art was being made. The moment that history started was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like cave paintings and the
yes.
music that they would make and the little like pottery shards that people find. That's when we started that process of and so it was able to be documented of like this is when it starts. And so I really feel like drawn to art in general because it creates this history for everybody, no matter what era or
Yeah.
time period we're in.
Good,
and,
good,
yeah.
good way of putting it for sure. Have you ever seen the movie The Songcatcher?
I haven't.
I have a copy of it. I'm gonna have to lend it to you
Absolutely.
because it's about documenting music and what they went through on those early 1900s, late 1800s.
Wow.
And the scrolls, and they did it on the scrolls and things. It's really a very remarkable movie. It's one of my husband's favorites, so I can't tell you how many times I've watched it, but it's more than one.
Right.
Anyway, listen, guys, let's figure out how after this single, where are we going? Where are we going?
Hopefully another single.
And then another,
Then
and then an album.
hopefully, I would say if everything was perfect with a little bow on it, we would have our single out sometime soon, and then maybe end of the year sometime have the EP out.
And then hopefully after that, another EP. And then after that EP, an album.
Yeah.
So that's like the trajectory.
And you
that
can
we're
see
on.
that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we had a discussion about this like
Yeah.
very recently about
We did.
like actually sitting down and being like, well, what's the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the next step after we get, because we just have this batch of songs right now, but we're all getting to the point where we want to write new ones, but we only have one out of like 8 released, and so it's like, okay, well, how are we gonna space these out? How are we gonna, because it's not just a like creative decision anymore, you know, it's like a marketing and streaming like algorithmic decision you have to make now of like how you're gonna push your stuff and how fast and how much, and
Well, speaking
cetera.
about how much, who's the business side of this?
Ethan Houseman.
yeah.
Ethan Houseman.
Absolutely.
I do like the tax stuff. My name goes on the tax documents,
Mm-hmm.
but Ethan he's the genius.
Because you know what they say is you need to leave the artist to do the artwork
yeah.
and
I don't
the
think we're at the
business.
point we need a manager or anything
Yeah.
quite yet.
Yeah.
I don't-
John definitely keeps us rolling in terms of like being business minded individual. He understands how the music industry works and how that process works. So he just keeps
That's
it,
worth a lot.
yeah.
Ethan and John might be mom and dad.
They might actually.
They absolutely are.
That's funny.
They
That's
sent
very
the
funny.
kids to do the podcast today.
Well, I just have really enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
same here.
Yeah, back at you.
It's I'm so glad that I did give you my card and that you did say yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and that this has been a really nice, relaxing conversation with you, and I hope to see you out there more.
Yeah.
Because I've been missing. I know I was sitting at Flickr when you were playing at the 40 watt, but I had to go home. I had just stopped there for a minute, and you guys hadn't played yet, and so and then I missed you. It seems like I just miss you occasionally when
We're
you're out
missable.
there.
We're missable.
So, yeah, you're missable. Well, I'm going to be watching you guys and
Yeah.
keeping up with you,
Thank you.
and thank you so much for
Absolutely.
coming and
Thanks
spending
for
time
having
with
us.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It really, I don't know if you realize this, but I'm going to tell you, it really means a lot to me.
That means a lot
When
to
everybody-
us.
Yeah, we
that
couldn't
comes
believe
on.
it that we were hit up for something like this.
Yeah.
After being, I don't know.
It's
We
just
haven't
the
been around
kind of
that
girl
long,
I
you know?
am.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Is there anything you want people to know about how to get in touch with you or where to find you other than Instagram, maybe?
This is where we hard drop Ethan's phone number.
Yeah. We doxed Ethan on
Call him.
Athcast.
I mean, is there an email that
well,
somebody
the email
could write?
is linked to the Instagram page.
Okay.
So if you go to the Instagram page and you click email, Trepid's
Yeah.
email is underneath that, and our
wow, Ethan must
dearest,
have done that because I didn't even know.
If I did that.
Oh.
our dearest
if you
Ethan Houseman
if
will-
you don't have Instagram, for anybody listening that doesn't have Instagram, it's Trepid with 4Ds at gmail.com.
Wait, Trepid?
All lowercase.
Yeah.
4Ds.
Oh,
TREPIDDDD at gmail.com.
okay then.
Yeah.
Where did Trepid come from?
Dude, I think we were just sitting on my old porch, just literally just like
Smoking
saying
a
words.
cigarette,
Yeah, saying
saying
words
words.
until we found one that felt like it fit the vibe.
Because when you see the title that I make this, you'll think it's funny.
Oh no.
That's
Cool.
exciting.
Oh god.
That's
Excited.
exciting.
Okay.
It's not that funny.
I love a good pun.
I
I'm
play.
fine with the pun.
I play with my titles a
I'm
little bit.
I'm
I
smelling
kinda
a pun in
make
the
'em
air.
That's
silly.
exciting. That's a good part of it, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, as soon as this is over, I'm just going to give you all a big fat hug.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you so much. for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thanks for
you
having
so
us.
much.